All right, let's talk about it. The Spartans moving on to the Sweet 16. Joining us tonight, Pat Caputo from 97 won the ticket in the Oakland Press. Sean Baligian, one of our favorite radio free agents, and he also does work for the Plymouth Whalers and M Live as well. Guys, Michigan State, not overwhelming, but in this tournament, you don't have to be overwhelming. You just need to get past whatever's in front of you, gather up, get better, move on.
Well, that's what they did. I mean, basically, they survived today. And USC, they were 16-12 at one point, and then they won 6 straight games, including the Pac-10 tournament. And that's a league that has pretty good depth. It was going to be a little tougher, I think, to a lot of people, and it was. And they survived it. You have to have that type of game and have that type of performance from somebody like Travis Walton. And, you know, I wanted to point this out. I mean, it's kind of a statistical anomaly, but he's had 4 games in double figures coming into today, and 3 of them were against previous tournament teams, Oklahoma State, Maryland, and Kansas. And he was 20 out of 28 shooting against those teams. So it wasn't as unusual as people think. He's a pretty good senior leader when he needs to be.
The mental toughness factor was huge down the stretch, and I think it's going to be huge from this point on in the tournament. Look, I don't know what you guys think. The Michigan State is on a collision course for the Final Four and back in Detroit. I felt that way before the tournament. I think the way the brackets played themselves out, it should be, but there's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas. But the way they played down the stretch, to me, showed that toughness that you would expect from an Izzo team this time of year.
Yeah, and they may, and you talk about the brackets, they may end up they will face the number 3 seed in Kansas coming up on Friday night. And then they will move on. They will take on the number 1 seed in all likelihood, Louisville, if they don't get upset. So there will be no easy road to the Final Four. It does not appear for Tom Izzo. Nobody's laying down in front of him.
But they played every game in Big Ten territory, Minneapolis and now Indianapolis. And if they get to the Final Four, and I picked them to win the national championship because I had to pick somebody. And so my bracket didn't get busted. And so I feel good about that. But, you know, to be honest with you, there are always booby traps, and there's no dominant team in this tournament. And the one thing about this team, and I agree with Sean about it, they're scrappy. They play more in Tom Izzo's image than any team they've had since the Mateen Cleaves, Andre Hudson, Charlie Bell.
And to me, that image, Pat, is defense. To me, that image is, if you look at Michigan State in critical games this year in crunch time, they have made it extremely difficult for the opposition to score points. As simple as that, to get good shots and to score points, and that is the staple of a Tom Izzo team, and that's what you have to have in the tournament. They did it today against USC.
That's the formula of his successful teams. And the one thing I will caution, though, I think maybe if you're just a casual fan, if you see Kansas looming and you go, oh, wait a second, Michigan State destroyed this team earlier. This isn't the same Kansas team. Now, should Michigan State win? Sure. But this is a team that I think has matured as the years gone by. And I think it was you, Dan, that said it. This tournament's full of pitfalls from this point on. I don't care who you are. You can get beaten. That's just the way it is. There is no given of the 16 teams left by a long shot.
I think Tom Izzo said it. Both those teams, Kansas and Michigan State, have both gotten better since the last time they played. Pat, very quickly, best team left in the tournament in your mind. We have seen Louisville struggle today against Siena. We saw Carolina struggle yesterday. Memphis is really the only of the number 1 seeds that kind of got better from round 1 to round 2.
I think a lot depends on Lawson from North Carolina, how healthy he is, how he responds to playing this week. If he's healthy, they're the best team. But they're, like I said, I picked Michigan State to win. I could have picked Louisville. I could have picked Pitt. I could have picked anybody. Anybody could have. It's wide open right now.
I think I picked North Carolina 10 years running. So if they win,
I could be either North Carolina or Kansas for the last 18 years.
I could go 2 of 10. I mean, that's batting 200. Brandon Inge would be proud, so that's a good thing.
It just shows the power stroke there. All right, coming up, let's get to Michigan. Their season ended last night, round 2 of the NCAA tournament. The Wolverines hung tough but lost to number 2 seed Oklahoma 73-63. Many different emotions for these guys, including their head coach, who clearly would have loved the opportunity to move on, but he also knows this. His team took an important step this year, and there appear to be brighter days ahead.
I want them to know that, first of all, that they were a few breaks and a few shots away from going to the Sweet 16. I mean, you know, even though they did get away in the second half, I mean, we have a couple shots dropped and a couple other breaks go our way, and you know, we could have continued the season. So I want them to feel that a little bit, because we need to continue to grow here, and the hungry is very good at this time. You know, when satisfaction, it's nice to feel you accomplished something, but we want to continue the hunger for us to get Michigan past this stage in the future.
You know, I couldn't help but think today, as I kind of reflected on what's happened to Michigan, that here was a team and a head coach that as recently as the middle of the season when they were struggling, people were asking, well, is he the right guy for Ann Arbor? Is this the right system for the Wolverines? Can it work in the Big Ten? Well, it seems like a lot of those questions have gone away at this point, even with yesterday's loss.
You know, we've heard the word grow, and it was interesting to hear him say grow there. We've heard that under Brian Ellerby. We've heard that under Tommy Amaker. And you know what, Pat? You can finally say they grew this year. How much should they grow? Well, let's wait and see till we'll get out the measuring tape next year and see how big. But they finally grew.
Right.
They took a step, and anything they did in the tournament, in my mind, was gravy. The fact that they won a game, that's big. It's really big.
Yeah, if you said before the year they'd win 21 games and beat UCLA, Duke, win a tournament game, people would have put you in a straitjacket, put a big block M on you, and dumped you in the Huron River. But
just like they'd have put a straitjacket on you after they beat Duke and beat UCLA, and then looked like they were out of the tournament for a while.
Yeah, well, the key to that team and the key to their future, there's two players. They got two players as good as anybody in the Big Ten, Deshaun Sims and Manny Harris. And if they had played just a little bit better yesterday, if they had matched Blake Griffin with their total, they would have won that game. And they will only go as far as Manny Harris and Deshaun Sims take them. They are the key. They are very talented players. And I don't know if Beeline's getting the most out of them.
It's interesting that you say that, because what I had written down here was Harris, Sims, consistent third scorer. For me, they're not the question. For me, Pat, I assume they're going to grow. For me, it's what are they going to get from the guys around them? Is Lucas Perry going to become a guy that you can depend on? Who's going to step up when they need that third scorer?
This is the other thing about Beeline. Now, they have an inroads at the public school league. That's where Harris, that's where Sims came from. And Tom Izzo doesn't have a foothold there. And none of the four guys that they have coming in next year are from the public school league. He better take advantage of that. And that's the question mark about Beeline. Will he recruit those kids? Will he take advantage of that? And can he take advantage of it?
I think a lot of people, and Dan, we talked about it maybe a month ago, whenever the game was, when the benching happened in Iowa. Well, how's the team going to react for this? And I think we agreed that that's the best thing to do for this program. And you know what? To watch the way they responded as a team and as individuals, I think it showed you that John Beeline knows what's up, pushed the right button, and the team reacted positively for it.
Yeah, I was actually against that, which went about as well as the guy who questioned having Walter Herman in at the end of the game today. Interested to see how that worked out. When you look at where this program goes, though, the one thing that's important, don't take steps back now. You are moving in the right direction for the first time in a long time. Everything is positive with the Wolverines. You've got to keep it moving in the right direction. That means what you said, these guys have to continue to grow.
And also, it's important that they did get that basketball practice facility built, that they've shown some commitment other than hiring a coach, or just like they're the football program stepchild. There were some indications this year from their administration that that isn't true, and I think that's very important.
Tournaments. I mean, next year you got to think about it. Absolutely, positively. Even if you sneak in like in Arizona this year, Arizona State, excuse me, get in as that 12 seed, you got to find a way to get in. That's got to be your watershed mark every year. And let's see.
Because as you said, as John Beeline sat there and talked, we've heard other coaches say it, but we never saw Tommy Amaker say it in front of that NCAA tournament background. It's the way to go. It's the place to be, and they got it done this year. All right, let me get to the NBA. Back to you guys.